Cats versus dogs. Lions versus tigers. Eagles versus hawks. Parrots versus canaries. Wolves versus foxes. Elephants versus rhinos. Dolphins versus whales. Owls versus falcons. Cheetahs versus leopards. Horses versus zebras. Penguins versus puffins. Giraffes versus kangaroos. Bats versus crows. Bears versus gorillas. Rabbits versus squirrels. Peacocks versus swans. Sharks versus crocodiles. Turtles versus tortoises. Hawks versus falcons. Deer versus antelope. Flamingos versus cranes. Koalas versus pandas. Seals versus sea lions. Cranes versus herons. Leopards versus panthers. Llamas versus alpacas. Crows versus ravens. Otters versus beavers. Frogs versus toads. Ducks versus geese. Geckos versus chameleons. Camels versus llamas. Pelicans versus albatross. Meerkats versus mongooses. Badgers versus wolverines. Flamingos versus pelicans. Coyotes versus foxes. Vultures versus condors. Parakeets versus cockatoos.